Hello, and welcome to Hanratty on Karate. So, talking to you from Calgary, where I live, and we've had a beautiful fall right up until last night. And this morning I woke up to, 6 inches of snow, and it's still snowing. So it's looking very seasonal, but I don't know. I'm not in for that. You could have stayed brown all fall for all I care. I'd much rather have green grass. Anyway, a bunch of my students went to Okinawa last week. We've been to Japan a number of times. Usually I'd go with them, but I'm waiting surgery, and that's what happens when you get old. Things start falling off or falling apart or just don't work. So I couldn't go because I wasn't sure what the surgery date was. I'm still not sure, so I probably could have gone. But anyway, I do have a few mobility issues. Not whining, I'm just saying I've had a great life and pushed it hard. I've probably been redlining, if you're into motoring terms, been redlining most of my life. Been really fit, but the unfortunate thing is you tend to ignore injuries, and that's what I've done for a lot of my life through my training, because I didn't want to stop training. I didn't want to take the time off. I hated any time I had to take off and recover from injuries or surgeries, of which I've had a few. I just didn't want to waste time recovering, and so what I did was I usually plowed through the injury and just got on with it, suck it up kind of deal. Not very wise. So if you want a bit of advice from an old guy who's been through it, if you have an injury, look after it, get it better completely, and then go back and do it. And don't go back trying to do what you did prior, okay? That's the best way of re-injuring yourself. Come back in and slowly ramp up to your performances before the injury. Going back in and going full bore at anything after an injury, not advisable. All you're going to do is re-injure it. And let's face it, if you got an injury, whether it's a soft tissue injury or skeletal structure injury or whatever, that part is going to be weak. Okay, you're going to weaken that part of your body. And so going back and expecting to hit that full bore again, it's not going to do you or your body any good. So just take it easy. My particular injury is, at the moment, I've got a few, is rotator. It's causing me a lot of grief because I can't go to, in the summer I play golf, and in the winter I go to the simulators, which are really cool. I just love them. And a little winter league, and usually go minimum once a week, play golf. I can't do that. And if I do, I'm just going to aggravate the injury, make it worse. So doing some physio exercises, and I've got some ultrasound treatment lined up, and hopefully I'll be able to get back, and hope I'll get back into full stride before golf season opens in the spring. Anyway, I was saying my students went to Okinawa, and I felt really weird because all over the world I've gone with my students, and I usually take a gang of them, youngsters and everything else, and I just wanted to lay down some of the criteria that I follow when I'm taking juniors abroad internationally. And it's even more relevant these days when you're taking any juniors anywhere, that you have of course you must have the parents' permission. So generally we try to keep them around mid-teens level. We don't take any kids that obviously would need looking after 24 hours a day. So 8, 9, 10-year-olds, no, we're not going to do it. So I remember one time I took, I think it was something like 22 students down to the States and Mexico, and we had a blast. But I had a lot of chaperones and I had assistant coaches with me, and it worked out well. And so to do that, what I generally do is I have a form letter that I give to all the parents of the students that are going on a trip. It's kind of like a field trip from school, You have to get your parents' permission. But on the form letter, I just tell them that you're granting this permission for your child to be taken across international borders. And I have them sign a waiver on there. And then I ask for a photocopy of their driver's license so that they know I just haven't, filled out the form myself. And I keep all of these in a file folder for going through customs and immigration and everything else, just to make sure I'm not trafficking, if you like. So if you know me, you know I'm deadly against that kind of thing anyway. But this is a good idea for any of you who are looking at taking some of your students, traveling somewhere to different dojos or different places internationally, or even if you're just crossing like provincial boundaries or state boundaries or wherever you have. It's a good idea to get parents' permission and make sure that that permission is accompanied by valid ID so that they know that it's the parent that's given that permission for you to take their child and go. And I'm all in favor of it because it's amazing. My belief always has been travel is education. And believe me, I've traveled all over the world. In fact, I've circumnavigated the world, on through Panama, back through Suez, all around Australia, New Zealand, South Pacific, all of that. I was lucky enough to do that in my teens and then come back and try to get myself a good education. A little bit late and hit a few stumbling blocks, but hopefully I caught up enough that I could make a living at doing what I want to do, which I did. So anyway, in Okinawa, what we did was my senior student who was looking after them, his name's Sean, if you ever meet him, great karate guy, really nice guy. He also happens to be my son-in-law, so I'm probably biased. Sean was in charge of the group, and we had a couple of adults, black belts, and we had a few junior black belts as well, and a couple of middle ground people, families. I think there was maybe, 14, 16 people in all in the group. And my wife, Julie, volunteered to go as a chaperone, which was good. She enjoyed the trip. So the trip, partially guided tour. Now, if you go to Okinawa is really big on karate tourism. I think it's one of their biggest industries. They just love karate people. And there's a whole bunch of companies that make their living from it. And they do guided tours and they arrange tours. They'll arrange to pick you up at the airport. You'll get a welcome dinner. They'll sort out your hotel for you. And they'll arrange training sessions at different dojos and even on the beach, which our guys really enjoyed because Okinawa is semi-tropical. So at this time of year, you're looking, 28, 30 degrees, but also probably about 98 to 100% humidity. So you get a good sweat on. So the guys were dying to try out the real lightweight kumite gis for training, in which they did, and they enjoyed it. So I guess I've got hundreds of pictures that they sent and some really nice videos training at the different dojos. And I'd like to offer my gratitude to the dojos that entertained and structured classes for us. And we went to a Shorin-ryu dojo and a Gōjū-ryū dojo and another one, I'm not really sure which one it was. But I asked them for their impressions, and they were particularly impressed with the Gōjū-ryū dojo. Now, I like Gōjū-ryū myself, and I know a couple of their katas. They don't have that many, actually. I think there's about 12 katas at the most that they have in Gōjū-ryū. And Gōjū-ryū, if you look at the name means hard, soft style, okay? And Chojo Miyagi was one of the founders. So he wasn't the original founder, but, he kind of brightened it up sort of deal and became one of the big guys of it and had it recognized by the Dainippon Butokukai, DMBK. So they were really impressed with the Gōjū-ryū guys. And this was a traditional Gōjū-ryū dojo. So they had them working with the traditional training aids, carrying stone jars and stone weights on sticks and iron gaiter, which is like a shoe for kicking, even though they don't do high kicks in the kata. And I believe they did Sienchin. I haven't really looked at the video, which one of my favorite Gōjū-ryū katas and one that I learned years and years ago when I was doing my international refereeing certification. We had to learn katas that were not your style, of course, so that you can still judge them. I really like the kata and I like the Gōjū-ryū style. High styles, inside tension stances like Senshin and Nekoash, and it's really strong upper body emphasis on strength. And originally, the founder of Gōjū-ryū, I believe it came over from China, but originated in Okinawa, and it was Kanryo Iguana, who developed the style, and he was born probably mid-1800s, and he'd done various styles of martial arts, particularly in Fuzhou, China, and I think he developed it from whooping crane kung fu. But don't quote me on that. I mean, you could probably look it up if you're that interested in it. But this is who founded it, Iguana, and one of the more famous practitioners nowadays is a descendant of his, Mario Iguana, an amazing karate man. As I say, they have some really, really good katas. Now, one of the katas that they had demonstrated to them, they didn't get a chance to perform it, but I'm sure they would have loved to. We teach a version of it in my dojo, is Super Impi. Now, they do Super Impi, and they do katas like Anan, which Iguana just introduced years ago, caused a sensation when he first introduced it, just the power of the movements. And the build of these Gōjū-ryū practitioners, I've noticed, tends to be extremely solid, not real tall and limber, but solid. I don't want to say squat, but they're actually very, very sturdy build, probably because of all the conditioning they do with the traditional equipment that they use for it. Anyway, they do a kata called Super Impi, and we call it Hakiacho, and a couple of my guys really like it. It's quite a repetitive kata, but it's extremely effective. The thing that they liked about Gōjū-ryū is it kind of echoed my philosophy on kata. I mean, it's not just my philosophy. I'm sure there's lots of you out there who have the same philosophy, that every movement in kata has to have a function and it has to work. And with Gōjū-ryū kata, they have drills for each movement in the kata to show exactly what it is and how it works, and they do this endlessly. So you learn in a kata, you learn in the drill that goes with each technique. And it really seems to work quite well. As I say, it really impressed my students, and I'm really glad about that. My philosophy is go and get your teaching wherever you can. If you see something good, copy it. Why not? I mean, the Japanese did. They copied Okinawan karate and tried to perfect it into their own. But that's fine, nothing wrong with that. The other thing that they did was they have a little dojo-kun kind of thing. And it's really practical, straight to the point, and it really hits home. And they took a couple of pictures of the dojo-kun on the wall in this Gōjū-ryū dojo. And I thought it was really neat, and it really impressed my guys. So that was impressive too. So that was Gōjū-ryū, and they really enjoyed that. Of course, they're all jet-lagged now, coming back into the dojo in dribs and drabs, and hopefully they'll all recover and get back on the floor real quickly. Maybe not today, but there'll be a few of them will show up today, even in the snow. We have some pretty dedicated people, which, again, I'm proud of, and they'll show up there in the snow. And, of course, the instructors will. That's what we do, right? Even if there's only a couple of students show up, we're still going to be there. That's our job. Anyway, I posted a couple of videos online, and the last video I posted was at the Shotokan dojo, and the sensei there was a grandmaster 10th dan of Shotokan, and our guys demonstrated Basai Sho for him, which he really liked. Thought it was really good. And I say a lot of the katas, you can see the development of the katas from Okinawa through to Japan, into the JKA, and into the Shotokan and World Karate in general. A lot of them are, as I say, similar, little variations here and there, but the way that you do kata is almost tells me the way that you train. And to me, you don't train with a load of ego and stiffly starched iron gi and marching on like a recruit in the North Korean army or something like that. How you present yourself and do your kata for the sake of doing your kata without ego involved. You may do some kata better than some other people. It doesn't mean to say you can use it better than other people, but that's what you should be looking for. Not just how you do your kata, but how you can use it. And of course, the first object of kata training is being able to use it when you need it. And so that's why we do it. Okay, kata is the very basis of our training. along with Kion. You need to know Kion. Kion just shows you the techniques. And then we put them together in kata, and then how you use them, of course, is in kumite. So anyway, that was our trip to Okinawa, and kids really enjoyed it. I'm sure we'll be going back, but we're always looking for international venues or something where we can get a different look, a different look at what we're doing and why we're doing it, and some other people's opinions, and just checking if they're valid. And, it also gives you a sense of where you are in your training. And believe me, there's some people think that they're on in their training, and I've been to the Hombu Dojo in Japan, I've been to many international camps, and some people give themselves all sorts of grades. And again, this goes to organizations being inconsistent with standards. Then what you find is that the grades don't really stand up to what you can do. And I'm always proud of my people. I've got no compunction about sending them to any camp or any dojo or any international seminar anywhere. I'm sure they'll stand up. And if you have any pride in your organization or your teaching, this is what you'll do. And not like you see people saying, oh, you can't go to another style or you can't go to another competition because they don't train with us or they're a different style. It's stupid. Karate came from just a basic root, and the styles are what split off just because people wanted to make money. Anyway, just my opinion as always, and I'd love to hear yours. Take care. Bye.